Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Now, you became an activist right from your days at the OAU. What triggered it?
Well, two things triggered my passion for activism. In year one, in the Faculty of Law, they don't allow us to take law courses. We are distributed to various other faculties, Faculty of Social Sciences, Faculty of Arts. So in the Faculty of Arts, we were taking a course called Field 101. So I said that in the 100 level year one in the Faculty of Law in Ife, we were not given opportunity to take core law courses. We were distributed into Faculty of Social Sciences and Arts. Now in the Faculty of Art, there was a particular course called Field 101, Philosophy. And that course was being taken by Dr. now Professor Dipo Fashino. They call it Jingo. So he was a radical lecturer. It's not possible for you to take 2 lectures in a row without being infected. So sitting under Jingo and listening to him, I became for the Faculty of Law. So I was the liaison officer for Part 1 students. So by the time we finish Part 1, I'd become totally radicalized. So that in year 2, I contested for election as the PRO of the Students' Union and I won. And at that time, I'd already become...
Yeah, but you were rusticated from school at some point.
Yes.
What happened? Just...
Yes, in the second, I was PRO of the Students' Union. And in that year, the federal government was contemplating a loan from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and Nigerians were opposed to it. But nobody could confront the military. So it fell on students. So and Ife was considered to be the headquarters of radicalism, both lecturers and students. So it fell on us to bear the cat. So I led the students on the protest and the university was shut for 6 months. So the university authority set up a panel and the panel came out with its report and dismissed 62 of us.
62?
Myself, Bamidele Aturu, Obara, Biola Akiode, Adeola Shoeton, all the
activists,
every leader, so we are also summarily dismissed. And having regard to all that I suffered to be able to go to school, I could not come back home to tell my uncle that this man who you wanted to become a lawyer had been dismissed. So I remained in Ife and joined Mr. Boyega as an apprentice printer. So I became his apprentice. He was giving me some stipends. So until Chief Ganfire came to our rescue.
How did Chief come into the matter?
One of us, Mr. Bamidele Aturu, had always been an activist. And the matter was reported in the newspapers. So Chief sent for him and asked him to bring all of us to his chambers in Lagos. We got there, he fed us, assigned lawyers to take our brief, and gave us money to go back and said we shouldn't worry that we will get back to the university. And he followed through, filed the case, argued with himself, got judgment, went to the university, served them, and sat down in the Senate building until they were ready to comply with the judgment, and that's how we are reinstated.
Okay. Now you joined the Chief Ganfire in his chambers after your graduation. What fond memories of your days at that chambers can you recollect?
At these chambers, there's the general spirit of teamwork, so to say. We engage in intellectualism. There was robust debate of legal issues. So you don't just take a case and go to court. People, you are engaged, you are challenged, You know, and then the sweet part of it is that lawyers in Ghanaian chambers were exceptionally brilliant and up to date, and the reason is because he doesn't just push you to the court. When you enroll in Ghanaian chambers, you are benched for the first 6 months or 1 year. So what he does is you'll be reading the law reports. He was publishing the Nigerian weekly law reports. So what happened is that they pass judgments to you for proofreading, to be eliminating errors, and then when you graduate in that, you start reporting. So in proofreading the judgment, you assimilate the basic principles of law contained in those judgments. By the time you proofread for 3 months, you have traversed virtually every area of law, contract, matrimonial causes, land law, everything. So by the time you are ready to go to court, it's like you are smoking. So that was a very wonderful way of breeding people. But I think the most notable moment for me was when it became clear that I'll be working with Chief when the Tinubu matter came about his certificate. He assigned the case to me, and it required research. Go to India, travel to America, not physically, as in go and consult their books, you know, and finally prepared, and we went to court. But when court, I can never forget. Chief was there, I was there. Chief Afibagbola came to appear to represent Tinubu, while Mr. Sunday Indero, then a legal officer in CP Lega, represented the police, because we were asking the police to commence investigation to ascertain the certificate. So we argued. So I didn't know that supporters of the governor were in court, and they were outside the camera, plenty, carrying placards. So immediately we finished, the ambush chief. Some were carrying big stones, some were wielding sticks, and they were wanted to lynch him, as in lynch and mob and kill him. So but he just bought a Pajero sports utility vehicle then. So the driver, Mr. Ajibade, knew what was going on. So the smuggled chief, he brought the car inside the premises of the court and smuggled chief inside. But unknown to us, there was another set of these fans waiting along that Queen's Drive. So they ambushed him again. But what Ajibade did, because I wasn't there, Chief narrated it to us there, Ajibade faced them with the car. So in the fear that they may run them, that some of them jump off the road. But one that was carrying a big stone smashed it on the car and completely smashed the windscreen. So Chief didn't repair the car, he kept it as an exhibit. So Chief left. So I didn't know that they knew that I was still in
the court.
So they were then saying, it's still remaining that small boy. Let us see how he will come out. So the court registers came and told me and said, don't dare you go out, you know. So I left my car in the car park. They smuggled me into the registry and kept me because the registry has a cage because they are collecting money. So it has a security. So they kept me in the registry there, and I waited there. They came and called me around 3:30 that they had left. So I now went. I called Chief and said I shouldn't come back to the chamber. I should go home. So I packed my things, entered my car, and went home.
All right, sir.
It was a memory.
Yeah. All right. What would you describe as the greatest lesson that you learned from Chief?
Courage. 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 He was a very courageous man. Never scared.
Okay.
And the other thing is that he was a very industrious person, very industrious and very caring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you were with him for some time. When did it dawn on you that you needed to set up shop on your own, that the Royal company needed to be buffered?
Well, one day we were in the office. A colleague of mine, Tony Wora, was my classmate. So he came and said, I want to see you. He said, well, is it possible that I can introduce him? So he wanted to know if I would take him. So I laughed. I said, Tony, there is nothing like that. once you do your work, if Chief likes you, he likes you to a fault. You know, that the only secret I see there is that there's necessity for some kind of proficiency. But when I got home that evening, it then dawned on me that it's possible that indeed the legal profession is structured that way. And we've had all manner of stories of people belonging to secret courts, of lawyers getting to court and not being able to open their mouth. Some develop stroke, some will just fall down and die. You know, so I then got that understanding that I needed to, you know, find a way to exist. But the thing that finally opened my eye was that Chief sent me to Ondo State to take the brief of Awoye community. Awoye, which was about oil spillage.
Okay.
So they wanted to switch over. So Chief wanted me to do a comprehensive audit of the environment, since I was involved in Ogoni and I know a lot about environmental pollution. So I stayed there eventually 3 days in that community, moving around, detailing all the evidence. By the time I came back, I met a letter of termination and I sacked.
You had been sacked?
Oh yes. What happened? I tried to reach him. I did everything possible. He blocked me off. He will not. Huh? At the peak of one's career. So I went to Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, now SAN, who was now
also he was there at some point.
deputy head of Chambers. Jacobs said, I don't know. So he counseled me to go and see Mrs. Ganiat Fawe. So I went to their home in Ikeja and met Madam. With tears in my eyes, I don't know what I'm doing. Chief won't tell me. At least let me know what I have done. So I sat down there, she gave me food, you know, because I'd lost my mom. So that memory just, you know, she was like very motherly that day. She said, forget about your problem, settle down first, eat. So I ate. She asked me to sit down under the tree outside. So she went inside to meet the Chief upstairs. Stayed for some time, came back and said, nothing. The Chief has nothing. He couldn't say it. And maybe he had a wrong information. You know, so but it later dawned on me because there were 3 people in Chambers who were like hot people: Mr. Festus Kayamo, Dr. Sam Amadi, and Bayo Motobora. There were 3 as in like Chief's main lawyers who were helping him in his human rights and political cases, but they were also very volatile and had a mind of their own. So at times they also challenge. So anytime people see you moving, we call them the triumvirate. Anytime they see another lawyer moving in their midst, you think that you become an enemy of Chief. So I was thinking, maybe they thought that I had joined train with that. So, but long and short was that I was asked to resume the following day. But what that dawned on me was that that is not my father's house. I could have been sacked in that manner. So it made me become conscious that, you know, that cannot be a final that I need to do something.
Alright, other than Chief Gani, who are you going to single out one of that lawyer who has also affected your life and
Dr. Sagio Bayuana, who later became Attorney General of Edo State. He was that time a lawyer with his office on Kano Street in Ebutemeta. So he set up an organization called Mainland Progressive Youth Movement. We used to meet in his house. So he was a radical to the core. Very detribalized, very simple, but very courageous and very lanky and huge. So I'm very bold. So he at that time struck me as a model of who a lawyer should be. And I was very inspired by his mentoring and his lifestyle. And of course, I can't but mention Mr. Femi Falana, who has quickly also inspired me with all the work. Because the reason I mention Falana is that before becoming a senior advocate, it's easy to just, you know, go the whole length and scatter the ground. But becoming an SA is like you're not part of them. So I now know how tough it is for faith to still continue to maintain his balance.
Okay.
So he's an inspiration to me also.